Hi folks, Pat Healy here for the Laker News. I'm here with Waverley-Fall River-Beaver NDP candidate Donna McCarthy. Donna, give us a little bit about your background.
Hi Pat, thanks for that. I've been an EPA for Halifax Regional School Centre for Education. I switched to assistive technology about 3 years ago, and I've lived in this community for about 22 years with my children and my partner Brian. So.
All right, we're going to get into some questions now. What are the top 3 concerns you are hearing from residents in Waverley-Fall River-Beaver? How would you address them if elected as MLA?
So I'm sure it comes to no surprise as you. Our top 3 concerns are housing, affordability, and healthcare, which is probably why Claudia's platform is focused on housing, affordability, and healthcare. We definitely, as the NDP and Claudia, we've got some great programs coming out for all 3 of those things. People can't afford to live right now. They're like at the door. I'm hearing from people that after they pay their rent or their mortgage, there's nothing left to feed their children. So we definitely need to put some money back into community hands, to people's hands, real people, everyday people, and not the big business part. So that's the big part of the plan. Claudia's announced a couple of things with affordability in particular. There was an announcement that just came out for the platform with just trying to get money back into both renters and homeowners. It's everybody right now that's feeling the crunch.
This next question has been submitted to us by the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors. Nova Scotians want to own homes, but it is getting increasingly difficult to do so. What will you do to make it easier for Nova Scotian families to buy homes in our community?
I'm going to be honest, I don't have an exact plan laid out. I'm new to this, I'm just getting into it. But what I can tell you is I totally 100% get it. My daughter actually had to leave our district. She bought a home last year. She cannot afford anything in our community. The biggest thing we need to focus on, though, we do need more homes, we absolutely do, but we also need to make sure that we have the infrastructure that goes with it. So we need a thoughtful plan that needs to be well coordinated with all of the groups, municipal, provincial, and even some federal support with our highway systems, because we need to have everything in place to make it easier for people.
How do you plan to address the barriers women face in accessing health care, including issues with wait times and availability of specialists in fields like gynecology?
What a fantastic question. Thank you so much for that question. As a woman, as a mom of a woman, what an amazing question. I'm really excited for that. One of the main focuses that we have with healthcare is Claudia has announced that we're looking at getting back to a primary care clinic. The NDP pioneered that a while back, and Claudia has committed to getting 15 of these clinics up and running. So without that primary care, without that regular person to speak with and get that support, it's really difficult. So this would be a clinic that would have doctors, nurses, other healthcare providers kind of all in that same space, and to be able to connect with women so that our healthcare issues can be done with someone we know and trust. It's really hard to walk into walk-in clinics or wait lines at emergency. So getting back to that primary healthcare space is our plan.
In Waverley, Fall River, and Beaverbank, and areas outwards, there are many commuters going to work in Halifax and taking their own vehicles because transit just isn't an option or doesn't exist. How would you, as an MLA, work with the municipal government to make transit from these areas a priority if elected?
Absolutely, 100% it's a priority. But again, it needs to be a thought-out plan with both groups working together. We need better transit for people who access, so that they can actually access it, not have a spot that you have to walk 2 kilometers to get to, where there's not even a sidewalk available for you to walk on. So that 100% is one of my priorities, to work with the municipalities and get that going so that we can have people get to and from work.
Considering the rapid growth in Waverley, Fall River, and Beaverbank, and HRM in general, it is imperative to ensure that infrastructure, transportation, hospitals, and schools are adequately developed to meet the increasing demands. If elected, what will you do to attempt to stay ahead of this ongoing problem?
Planning, planning, planning. It's great to have homes, and homes are so important. Like we're definitely in a crisis for homes right now in this area, particularly whether it's our seniors or people starting out. There is a crisis, but planning needs to happen. We can't just pop something up somewhere. You need that infrastructure in place. As someone who's worked in the school system for the last 20 years, our schools, some of them are overcrowded because of that lack of planning. So it's having the foresight to look into the future and not build for what's here right now, but what's going to be here in 10 years. And building that way. It's that planning side.
The need for housing is increasing, so it's important to have homes for everyone. But with the increased climate crisis and global warming, what would you as an MLA do about the increased developments that are causing deforestation, infilling of oceans and wetlands, and overall destruction of the natural habitat happening in the riding and Nova Scotia?
That's a really difficult one. And again, I know it sounds like I keep saying the same thing, but it comes back to that collaborative approach, because homes are absolutely important. But oh my gosh, our environment, without our trees, we don't breathe. So that's that side of things. So again, it's working with the specialists in those fields to have those voices come to the table and tell us how it should work, how it should happen. Environment is definitely a huge issue, and Claudia it's kind of weaved through all of the different platforms. Like we need to take care of ourselves. One of the things that makes us so great here in Nova Scotia is the wildlife, the wetlands, the trees. So we definitely need to make sure that we keep that as a focus to keep our lakes, our water. My gosh, we definitely need that focus. But it's listening to the experts. Like, let's bring the people in who know those things is what we need to do.
Okay. Beaverbank had been split into 2 ridings and is now together. What can or could you do to make better community connections for Beaverbank with Fall River and Waverley?
So I've been hearing a lot, actually, that everybody kind of thinks that we're all different communities. And, you know, when you go to the door from someone in Fall River, they don't feel there's a connection to Beaverbank. You go to the door in Beaverbank and they don't feel that connection. But I've been working a little bit with Lyle Mailman and that the kind of community center there. And we're all the same. And so what I'm hearing at the door, what I'm hearing from people, we actually are all the same. And so it's bringing that voice back to community and being able to, let's talk about what we have similarities. Let's talk about the programs for our kids, whether it's sports or music, and just kind of bring that sense back of being that one community.
Cool. And the last question for you. Why should residents cast a ballot for you in the election? What sets you above the other candidates?
You know what? I asked myself that question before I agreed to run. My focus has never been politics. This isn't what I do for a living. I've kind of always been that frontline worker. But then I started talking with my family and friends and realized that whether it was as an EPA in the school system, my union role on bargaining committees or my human rights committees, my passion is being a voice. My passion is being able to advocate for people who need that extra help. And that's something I do extremely well. That's something that I can bring to the table. So I just want to be able to hear what's the issues, hear what's going on, and then find the resources and connect the two. And I think that's something that I'm very strong with and hope to bring us back to that sense of community where all voices are valued and heard.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy day to do an interview with us.
Not a problem. Thank you so much, Pat, for all that you do for our community.
Thank you to Joanne Poulin of eXp Realty for sponsoring this video interview. Pat Healy for the Laker News in Grand Lake.